All right, welcome to our session today. My name is Quintressa Fala, and I am a trainer and facilitator from SchoolNet South Africa. I am joined by my fellow colleague and moderator, who is Zodumo Mbulawa. So if you have any questions, comments, you want to add with regards to coding, please do drop in the chat box and talk to us. Let us engage. Coding is mostly practical and less of theory. Although we're going to start with a bit of theory, it's just mainly the practical part that is fun. So our agenda for today is we will look at what is Scratch. We will also look at Scratch online as well as the app version of Scratch in case you want to download it. We will also look at the Scratch pathway, the differences between the Scratch and Scratch Junior. We will see, or rather discuss, the skills that are required for Scratch program, as well as interact with regards to what you think you would learn or develop during coding, especially with Scratch coding. We will also jump in and see the basic features of the Scratch platform, and also create a simple Scratch project so that you are able to play around with Scratch. Right. Our objectives are basically to understand the Scratch pathway as well as programming, learn the basic of the Scratch components, and create the simplest Scratch project. We don't want to overwhelm you with a lot of Scratch coding, and this is just simple basics. So it's the basic of basics workshop. So it's super basic. Right. So what is Scratch? So Scratch is basically a free programming platform that allows people to create interactive stories, games, animation. It's basically an online community of block coding where people create so many different stories and animations. It was developed by MIT Media Lab. And it's just mainly, or rather it's just block-based programming. So we use blocks, snap blocks, put them together to create a project, to create games, to create animation, to make this sprite here to move. And you can find Scratch on this link right here. My moderator will share the link in the chat box so that you can open it and start exploring with me. Right, so let's look at Scratch Online and app. So Scratch Online is available on scratch.mit.edu. So this is basically what I will be using today. But however, we know that connectivity is not that strong. We might be using an older operating system. And the truth, or the basic truth, is that internet connection is unreliable. And if you want to play with Scratch and you want to explore and learn how to block base and you want to use it offline, there is a Scratch application available for you to use, and you can find it on https scratch.mit.edu/download. So my colleague would also post that in the chat box so that you can download the Scratch app onto your computer. So we have Scratch Online and Scratch app. So for those that don't have the best connectivity, as well as for me later on when I want to play around and I don't have connectivity. So Scratch pathway. So basically, we understand, we've always heard about Scratch coding. We've always had that learners should code because it's computational thinking. We get to understand the how websites are built, how games are created. So with Scratch, we start with block coding. So we start snapping these blocks so that once we understand the basics or the underlying basics of coding, we then move to the deeper coding where we put, as you can see on the picture. So obviously with these block coding, there was a code that was created to create this block code. We are not there. We are on these block code, and we're going to work our way, if you find Scratch interesting, to then create such programming that you can then use to create your own blocks or to create your own Scratch in the near future. So let's explain coding a bit. So there's different types of coding. So there's computational thinking. So this is where we need to learn how to solve problems, where we need to be have logic thinking, where we need to, so basically the 21st century skills where we as citizens need. And then we have block coding. This is what we intend to show you today. So block coding allows you to learn how to code without actually having these complicated coding programming languages overwhelming you, because they can be quite overwhelming. And then in block coding, the codes are already written. So all you have to do is just snip, put together, and create beautiful animations, create actions, create sound, create projects for your students, create projects for you to put out there for people to explore. And then we have physical coding, where you combine computational thinking as well as physical coding into a programming language. So here you think about the likes of Lego Prime as well as Spark Robots. And then we have the front end, back end mobile app development, where there is programming language skills. So here you look at your JavaScript, your Python. So you look at the deeper part of programming. And then once you have learned all these 4 steps, then you now go to where you can achieve anything with regards to coding, where the world is your oyster. You could create anything and you can solve as many problems as you can with coding. However, for our session today, our main focus will be block coding. And I hope you will enjoy Scratch and how it was created. But before we get there, I'd like to tell you that there is, we have Scratch Junior as well as Scratch. So this is the difference between Scratch and Scratch Junior. So Scratch Junior is an introductory programming language that enables young children from the age of 5 to 7. So our babies can actually learn how to code with Scratch, because it was designed in a way that the young ones are able to use block codes. So the block codes are created as images, so they just snip together those graphical programming blocks, and in this process they learn how to solve problems, they learn how to express themselves, they learn how to create characters that makes them sing, jump, move, dance, and it gets our students quite excited to actually create something and let it come to life. So with Scratch, it's basically for young people from the age of 8 going up, meaning even myself can play with Scratch, where we are able to just create interactive stories, games, animations, what do you call those? What are those? Okay, I'll come back to that. So you're able to create a project for your students to showcase certain aspects of learning for your students. So where can you find Scratch? Like I said, Scratch, you can find it on scratch.mit.edu. And then with Scratch Junior, you can find it on www.scratchjunior.org. Right. So now, what are the skills required for Scratch? I mean, that's the basic part. You need to learn how to operate your computer, your phone. Yes, Ishmael.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me.
Loud and clear.
Okay. Among other things, the skills that are required for Scratch is creative thinking, as well as I can say systematic reasoning. Thank you very much.
Most definitely, yes, that's true. So you need to be able to think out of the box, because with Scratch, it's a platform where you're allowed to create. So let me show you what I thought about when I thought about skills for Scratch. So I had a lot of thinking to do and try to understand what skills can one one is required to gain for Scratch or to have for Scratch. So I came up with these 5 skills. So I said creative thinking, I said attention to details, I said problem solving, as well basic planning, as well as working collaboratively, right? So with creative thinking, my understanding was that one needs to think out of the box. So with Scratch, one needs to let their imagination run. So you need to train your mind to work with Scratch, to invent. So you need to have that I'm an inventor mindset, so that you can be able to create new and fresh animation and games that are not out there yet. And you need to explore new ideas and thoughts through block coding. So you need to use block coding as a way to give us new, fresh ideas. And then with attention to details, I looked at Scratch and I'm like, Scratch is a block coding platform. And with a block coding platform, if you put one block where it's not meant to be, then the whole coding is ruined. Your code or your sprite won't work. So with Scratch, one block code can change your whole sprite code. So you need to have an attention to detail, and you need to push through, because when you code, you get overwhelmed when things don't go your way. But once you become comfortable and you persist, then you will therefore be able to find the code that is right for your animation or for your creation. And then problem solving. The fact that you're already thinking Scratch means that you want to create a game that is not there. And that game might be a game that solves problems that are out there. And with problem solving, those are the analytical skills that are out there. So for you to solve a problem, you need to know how to make decisions. You need to be innovative and think creatively. You need to analyze what the issue is or what makes you want to create that specific project or animation or game that's out there. So an example or a picture that I've put here was of a designer called Mathematics Mania, who decided to create a quadratic equation solver. She saw that probably her students are struggling to solve the quadratic equations, and then created a project for her students to do so. So this is along the way that we want you to think when it comes to creating projects and games. And then basic planning. So you want to have a clear vision of your story, of your animation, of your game, because you honestly just need to sit and think about, what is it that you want to create? What is it that you want to design? Or help your students understand what they want to design. So for example, if they have a project in social sciences, so you need basic planning. So all these basic planning also includes your analytical thinking, and you prompt your decision-making ability, because you then need to, like I said, create all these projects that suit you and your students' needs. Right. And with Scratch, you get to work collaboratively. So Scratch it's an online community. So you are able to connect with people from across the world. And when you then share your product with fellow Scratchers, it will boost your confidence, and it will build your leadership skills, and it will then enhance your social skills and your deeper thinking. You get to think and see other people's projects and engage, and it also improves your engagement abilities. So those are the skills that I thought of, and I'm thankful that there are other skills out there that Kaya has mentioned, as well as Ishmael, that are very relevant to coding and to working with Scratch. Right. So now I'm going to quickly show you the Scratch platform on the presentation, and then I'll move away from the presentation and get to the actual Scratch platform, where I'm hoping you will follow through in terms of the features and functionalities of the Scratch platform. So where do you get the Scratch platform? Like I said, you go to scratch.mit.edu, and then here you can join Scratch or you can sign in, right? Even if you don't want to sign in or join Scratch, you can jump in and start creating, right? So once you select on the create option, this is the platform that you have. This is the platform that pops up once you join Scratch or you select create. But now it will have another part that says, that gives you a quick orientation of Scratch, or a short projects that you could do as they take you through those projects. Now let me show you the features that are there. So with the Scratch platform, once you have started, you have the part where it says file, edit, tutorials, and where you put your names and see project page. So on the file option, you have an option to create a new Scratch platform to work on. You have an option to save your Scratch, to save it as a copy, and you have an option to load it from your computer. So if you were working on the downloaded Scratch app, you are able to load it from your computer into the online version. You are able to save the project that you're working in on your computer. However, when you save it on your computer, you will have to open it with the Scratch app. So if you don't have the Scratch app, it will not open the project. And then under the edit button, you are able to edit in terms of restoring the sprite. I will explain what is a sprite shortly. And you are able to turn the turbo mode. So turbo mode is a bit complex. We just leave that one out. You are able to see the tutorials. So tutorials are best because they show you step by step how to create projects, animations, and creation. And you're also able to give your Scratch project a name. In this instance, it was my nephew's birthday, so I just decided to write happy birthday Hoshi. So this is the basic part of the top part of the Scratch. Also, you are able to see your logging details there, top right. You're able to see your logging details. So you can see my name, there's Quintress. You can also add your picture or a Scratch that you have created, a sprite. So the Scratch program is divided into 4 parts. So you have the blocks palette. So in the blocks, this is where you have your blocks for coding. So this is the blocks that you use for coding. This is your coding area. This is where you drag and drop and snip together your blocks. And then this is the stage. This is where you see your creation come to life. If you put a Scratch, you make it sing, you make it dance. This is where you see your Scratch dance. And then here, this is where you are able to select your sprite, your background, and you're able to see your sprite's direction, the size, and so forth. And then, like I said, this is your code. It has motion, your looks, your sound, events. I'll show you that more practically. And then this is your canvas space, as I was explaining. And then this is a sprite. So what is a sprite? So a sprite is any character or object in Scratch. And whenever you start a project, the Scratch sprite that starts or that appears is this cat sprite. So this is like the cat that you see all the time. And then if you want to choose a new sprite, you will have to select the new sprite icon. So it has the cat with the plus sign. And from this new Scratch icon, you are able to choose a sprite from the Scratch library. You are able to draw your own sprite. So you're able to draw your own character. And you are able to just, if you don't feel like drawing or selecting anything, you can just allow Scratch to surprise you with a sprite. And you can upload an image from the computer. And if you have selected a sprite and you don't like it, you could delete it. And with the sprite, this is where maths comes in if you're a teacher. With the sprite, you're able to see your sprite position. So every sprite has an X and Y position on the stage. So your X is when it moves from left to right, and your Y, it's when it moves from top to bottom. So there where you are able to select your sprite, you are able to see your sprite move. So as you move your sprite, you are able to see your x-axis and your y-axis. And again, so with the Scratch platform on the stage, you have these start and stop buttons. So when you select the start, your creation, depending on how you've designed it, your creation will start to work. And then when you select stop, then it stops working. Like I said, this is where you can add your sprite. You click on this icon. This is the icon. You can add a background, or you can also add an image to make your background, and you are able to delete and recover a sprite anytime. Right, so this is where I was just playing with, like I said, it was my nephew's birthday, so I was just playing with the different characters, letters, and wanted to make each letter dance, but I'll just demo it right now. Right, so I want us to create, but before we create, let me stop sharing and share the Scratch platform just to take you through the Scratch. Right, so this is the platform where you can download Scratch. So I'm just going to copy that and drop it in the chat box again so that you're able to download it. Right, so you can download it Windows 10, Android, Mac, or Chrome OS. So you can choose your operating system with regards to downloading the application. Right. So now this is Scratch. When you go to Scratch and you type in MIT, scratch.mit.edu, and then you get to Scratch. Let me just go back. So this is where you will land. And like I said, you can either join Scratch. You can join Scratch by putting in your details there. You can also sign in if you have an account. Or you could just say, okay, let me explore this first. If I like it, I will then sign in or join Scratch. You will then select create. And then you can start creating your project. And then here on this platform, you are given a short tutorial. So when you play this,
with Scratch,
it shows
you can make your own story, games,
a quick video of Scratch and what you could do. And also it shows you an animation of adding a block. It shows you what to say and so forth, right? Let me close that. So now, like I said, we have the code part. So the code, we have motion. Motion is when you want your Scratch to move. So it could be you want it to move 10 times, to turn, to go in this x-axis or to this y-axis. You want it to point in this direction or whichever motion you'd want. And then we have the looks code. So the looks code is if you want your Scratch to say hello, just select, pressing on the block just shows you there that my Scratch is saying hello. Remember that I did say that our standard sprite, which is character, is the cat. So when you press on the block, it will say think, and then you will switch the costume. That hasn't been created just yet. And then we have the sound part. On the sound, when you select the block code, then it will play the mere sound. We haven't blocked or snipped or put together a code just yet. And then we have the events. In the events, apologies for that. In the events, this is what you want the sprite to do. So when you click on this, when you click the green flag, this is what you use to create your code. This is your basis. So when you put your blocks together and you put it under this, when you click the green flag, so it means that every time you create a code and you put it together, when you click on this, it will then start to put your creation together, right? I will just demo it shortly. And then you have your controls. Your controls is if you want to want your sprite to say hello and wait for a second, or if you want something to repeat over and over again. And then you have your sensing. And then we have your operators, if maths with maths purposes. You have your variables. You can create your own variables. And you have my blocks if you want to make a code, or rather a block. So Scratch allows you to make a block. And then we have the costumes. So if you want to customize your sprite, if you want to change the colors, you could just play around. If you want to draw something next to your sprite, a heart, or anything that works with you, you are able to design and write anything here. So you can also just play around with your sprite. So this is, remember now, we have our original costume 1, and this is our costume 2. So whatever you create here, if you want your sprite to move from costume 1 to costume 2, you will then need to create a coding for that, or rather a block combination for that, so that it can move from costume 1 to costume 2. So like I said, you can edit your block, your sprite, and make it, let's make it look different. So we can change the colors, make it green. No, green is horrible. You can make it purple. Ooh, purple. Now it makes sense why they chose orange, because orange looks very nice. But you can change it however way you want. So I could select that, and then I can make it purple. Oh, my sprite will look absolutely horrible, but we move along. So make it purple, and then we change that. We fill it green. So you could just create anything with it. So it allows you to play around, create, and it's fun. Students love it, and I also love it. It's fun to work around. It's fun to explore, to share with your colleagues, and let them see your designs that are fun, or that could be ridiculously funny. But yeah, it's how it works. And then we have the sound option, where you are able to create sound, to select sound from the sound library. You can record yourself saying whatever that you want to say. If you want to create a project and you want to explain the concept to your students, you can record yourself explaining that concept to your students. You can get a surprise sound, and today's surprise sound is wobble. So you can make it faster, you can make it slower, you can make it louder. So you can choose however way you want to. So the standard one is the meow. You can make it faster, you can make it louder, and so forth. So you could change it however way that suits your project. So I'll go back to my code. So now this is my sprite. It looks absolutely horrible, but that is my sprite. So like I said, let's just create something quick, short, before we move to the creating part that I have planned. So I can just ask my sprite. So you drag, drop, so you snap them together. When I press here, it will move 10 steps forward. So when I keep pressing, it keeps moving. So I can also make it 10, 15 degrees. So as it moves, it turns 15 degrees. Right? Okay, let me take it back to the original. Right. You could make it go to a random position in your stage. Right? And then what looks, you can make it say hello for 2 seconds. But if you don't want it to be for 2 seconds, you can change it to 1 second. You can also move it to the next costume. Right? See, this is the original costume. It will say hello and then move to the next costume. I hope you saw that. And take it back. Hello, and then moves to the next costume. Right. And then sound, if you wanted to say any sound, you can snip and it will play a wobble. Right. You can change the pitch. You can do quite a lot, and then you can go to events. So with the events is what happens for you to, like, what must happen for the creation to start working, right? All right. So you are able to play a wobble sign. So I was explaining the events. So in the event, you have created your creation. How do you want it to start? So with this one, when you click the green flag, it starts playing. So it plays all your code. If then this one, it says when your sprite is clicked. So let me just drop that and delete this one and put the when the sprite is clicked. So when I click on the sprite, then the code will play, right? And then I can also remove that when I receive a message. Okay, I don't have a message created, but this is how you start your coding to work, right? So it's easy to delete. When you want to delete, you just remove the code and shift it on the side. If you want, you can just delete your button. So those are your controls. So let me just show you the sprites that are available. So like I said, to choose your sprite, you can choose your sprite from your Sprite Library. And this is the Sprite Library. There's a wide range of sprites that you could choose here. But like I said, if the sprites that are here are not what you want, then you can design your own sprite. Right, so you can draw your sprite like I've showed you in the paint option. So if you want to draw a sprite here, you can draw a sprite. The sprite could be a flower from Life Sciences, or it could be anything from your classroom that is not part of the sprites in the Scratch library. Right, and then if you want a surprise sprite, let's see what it has. Okay, it has bread. Okay, that's my surprise sprite for today. I don't want it, so I can go to this delete and delete it. And also delete sprite too, because I don't want it. And then you can also add a sprite from your computer. So let me just upload a cartoon that I had created earlier on. So this is a sprite that I just added now. So you can add a sprite from your computer. And another lovely thing that I love about Sprite is if you want, let me go back to my events. If you want the two sprites that you have to have the same code, it's easy to just drag and drop the code into your next sprite. And then when you go to that sprite, it should have, okay, probably didn't. So it goes into this. And then when I go to that new sprite, it should have the same code as the other sprite. So in case you decide, no, I don't like the sprite, let me choose another sprite, you don't have to recode what you have already coded already. You can just drag the whole code and drag it into that specific sprite. Lovely, right? And then if you want a backdrop, you can go to this backdrop icon. Same thing applies. You can choose a backdrop from the backdrop library that Scratch has. It has quite a lot of backdrops, but if it doesn't suit your need, you can draw or paint your backdrop, or you can ask Scratch to surprise you, right? The surprise for today is, I think, something on Earth or the moon or something like that. And also you can upload a backdrop. For example, what I thought with regards to backgrounds is that if you want to do a simulation of maybe a physics project where learners put together a parallel series or so, you can then put a picture of the parallel series. I'll show you the Scratch that the project that one did create, and the learners put together those sprite into the relevant part of the circuit, and then you code. If they get it right, it pings a sound that will say this is wrong. If they get it right, it will then start bouncing around to show that it is right. So it's just a lovely platform tab. Let me just delete the sprite. It's quite big, right? So like I said, when you move around this, you're able to to see your scratch axis and your y-axis and the x-axis. If you want to increase the size, you feel you're not seeing it well, you can increase the size of your sprite on the size part. You could say 250, and then it will increase the sprite if you feel you can't see it. But that's a bit too big. Then you'll make it 200. Okay, that looks fine. But now my scratch looks horrible. So let me just try and put it back to, yeah. There we go. So you can increase your size. You could show the sprite or not show it until you're done creating. Sometimes you just want to create, finish, and then see how it plays, or you could just see it as it folds along. Right. I hope the quick orientation was good. Right, so let me show you what I wanted us to create. It's just a simple project, and then I'll show you what other teachers out there are creating. So I wanted us to create a dancing letter. So I want us to create a dancing letter, and the first thing that we'll do is we will choose a backdrop, right? So the backdrop I had chosen was a disco light. I'm hoping you are choosing your background or your backdrop as well, right? And to choose that, you will go to the background icon. Let's do it together. Let me close that. So now I will delete all this, and I will close that. And then we will go to choose a background. And then we will choose a background that you like. So we want a dancing letter. A dancing letter has to do with music. You will go to music. And then you will choose whichever background that you want. Let's choose the theater 2. Right? So this is the background. Okay, that doesn't look pretty. No, I don't like it. You go to music, and then you choose, let's choose concert. Yeah, so concert looks much better. Right? So now that we've selected our background, let's choose a sprite, right? So you can choose the actual dancing letter, or you can choose any other sprite that you are comfortable with, or you can upload that sprite for yourself. So let's choose from the Sprite Library, right? So as I've mentioned, I said a letter, so we can go to a letter, and then we select any letter that is here. So there's different types of letters. Awesome. Right, so you'll go to a letter. My name starts with a Q or an M, so I'll go to Glow Q. No, I don't like Glow Q. So that's the thing. You need to find things that you like, that looks good for you. So let's just choose the block Q. So this is my block Q. I want to increase the size a bit so we could see it dance properly, right? So this is my Q, right? Just put it here. And then from here, we've chosen our sprite or our character from a library. And then from here, this is another thing that I want to show you. You can add extensions, right? So now we're going to add an extension. So to add an extension, on the coding tab, there at the bottom, there is this squares or blocks with a plus. When you select that, you are able to add an extension. Okay, I feel like this was a bit complex as a basic, but because I had already chose it, then we will select music as the extension that we want to add. So there's quite a lot of extensions you can add. There's the video sensing. So video sensing is when you switch on your camera and you put in your code, and every time you move your head, and you put a character, it moves along with your head. It could be your head, your hand, your nose, or anything. And then there's also other extensions. There's the microbit if you want to connect your project to the world, to include things in the house, for example. You can also do that. So there's quite a lot of extensions you can explore. So we will choose the music. So there's a music extension that is added, right? And then from there, we will create our code. So our code for today, is to go to events and then click the code that says when the green flag is clicked. And then from there, we will move 10 steps. So when we move 10 steps, we will then play a drum. So you can choose any music that you like, and you can choose for how long the beats will be. And then from there, we want to play to make it dance. So we want it to dance and then go back to its original position. So you will then add another move minus 10 steps and then play the drum. Okay, I feel like this was a bit complex, but you can just create a dancing letter or a letter that changes color however way you want to. So let's do that. So we'll go to events. We want our creation to start when we click the green flag. And then from there, we go to motion, and we want our letter to move 10 steps, right? And then as it moves 10 steps, we want it to play drums, right? So we'll take the drum, drop it, and snap it, right? So now we're going to just quickly test it. When I go to this green flag that says go, right? So every time we press it, it moves 10 steps and it plays the snare drums, right? Remember, you can change the sound to whichever one you like, right? But now we wanted to do this and then move to its original position. So we'll go to our motion code, and then we will go to move 10 steps. But now we will say move minus 10 steps, right? And then when we move minus 10 steps, we will go back to our music and we will play a different sound. We will play, let's choose different sound, the open hi-hat. So now when we click on the green, all right, so now we basically creating sound here. We creating music. So you can even create your own beats with Scratch. Interesting part. I didn't think of that. So you can also create beats, I think. So you can explore this with your students. Now I want to, so here I had shown you what I had created. So this is just the simple one. All right. And then this is the demo. So I've already been demoing the whole time, but I wanted to show you where you can get your ideas, because I know scratching, creating or coding can be quite, yeah, it might need a lot of thinking, but just to start and just get a hang of it and to be comfortable with it, there is on scratch.mit.edu, there is the part where you can explore ideas. So when you go to ideas, it shows you different activities that you can create. You can animate your name. You can make a sprite fly. You can play a ping pong game. I had tried this one where I was so excited. I created a Pong game. I shared it with my colleagues and I'm like, oh yes, I've created my game. And then my one colleague was like, oh no, it's not playing. And I was so hurt. I was so disappointed, only to find out that my colleague had to go inside my project and actually play it from there. So it made me want to then create a code where one can play it without having to go inside the project, right? So this is where you can get your ideas. You can see all the tutorials that are there. So these are all the different tutorials, art, music, animation, stories that are available for you to explore. And then let me go back and show you. Oh, I went back. Okay. Let me show you another thing you could use. So when you go to the website, there at the bottom, there is coding cards, right? So you can download these cards to start creating your stories and animation. Let me just show you how they look. So you see when you have your cards, your reading cards, so it's something like that. studying note cards. It's a bit slow. Right. So these are your cards. So you are able to do quite a lot. You could color, spin, dancing letter, change size. So there's quite a lot of creations that you can use with your students, just to get a start of how this coding works. So it even shows you which coding to use, how to go from here to there. Let me quickly show this, share this link in the chat box so it's easily accessible. There we go. Right? So you're able to create and explore and play around, right? So now one can say, as a teacher, then how do I incorporate it in class? So here are Scratch across the curriculum. So this is the Scratch projects that people have designed for their students, to explain a concept or to show simulations and so forth. So I'm just going to open one or two just to show you how they work. Also, I like sharing resources. I'll share this link in the chat box for easy access so that you are able to access it. There you go. So here are the projects. Let me open the one that says complete the circuit board, just to show you how it can be incorporated in the classroom, or just so students know what is what. By, we always have that student that is visual, that learns with pictures or images. So this is one of those things where student can use to see, okay, this is my circuit is a series, this point is a battery, this is what, and this is what. So when we click on the green flag, now we need to start to play. So this is our battery, you drag, right? And then this is my light, you put it there. And then now I close my circuit. So that means I was right. So this is how it works. Now a student has an idea that, okay, let me stop that because it's a bit loud. Right. So a student will have an idea that these lines are a battery. And this resistor, is it a resistor? I did physics quite a long time ago, is my light. And so forth. Correct me if I'm wrong. I did physics a long time ago. I just wanted to show you how it works. And then if you have seen this project and you like it and you want to do a replication of it, you can go inside the project and see how the person designed it. So when you go inside, this is how you see it was designed. So you can click on each character to see the code that she designed, and you can see the sprite. Here is her circuit, and you can see these different types of characters that she has. So you are able to redesign this code and give her credit, or you're able to just start your own afresh. So it's always lovely to give someone a credit if you're going to use their work. So this is one of the ideas. So let me show you. Why did I go out? Okay, let me show you another project that I liked. So another project that was in, I think, life sciences is the parts of a flower. So when you go to parts of a flower, right, it tells you an instruction, press the green flag and move the mouse over the different parts of the flowers to see the name and function of this flower, right? So I will click on the green flag. So when I select this part, it tells me this is an, okay, let me start afresh. When I go to this, it tells me this is an anther. It's a petal, it makes a pollen, it attracts insect, and so forth. So hers is a bit fast. If you were to create it, you'll make it a bit slower so that the student is a bit is able to read. When you go to this, it tells you this is an anther, it attracts pollen. This is a stem or a pistil. It provides support. So this is an, what is this? An egg. It contains an egg and so forth. So this is another way of incorporating coding or creating coding for your students, or as students, they can create this code as a form of projects for them to have a deeper understanding of a topic. Or I know with life sciences, in the exam, there might be a question such as explain the structural suitability of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If they were to create it and design it, chances are they'll never forget it. They'll never forget it. If the question was to come in the exam, it will be like they are coding and they'll remember the structures of that specific flower, how it makes it suitable for its function. For example, this flower, it has a pistil, and it provides support and such things. If you want to see inside again, you go to where it says see inside, and then you get to see what's inside. So, okay, let me move this aside. So this is just a flower. We want to see the code. So the code is in this sprite. So this thing that's moving along, this black dot, this is where the code is. So this is her code. So remember, everybody is unique. You create your code however way that suits you. So this is her code. For example, she said, when you click the start button forever, if you touch this pink color, it must say fertile for 2 seconds, and it must also say attract insects and other pollinators for 2 seconds. You would want to increase the 2 seconds to at least 5 seconds so that we can read it easily. If you're going to use someone else's work, it's always best to give credit. Right. So this is just to show you different projects that are out there that people are creating. There's also simulation. There are also simulations that are out there. So you could just play around, create, have fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoy Scratch so much. And I'm still creating a Scratch course that we will share with you later, where we show you different ways to use Scratch in the classroom, and just to incorporate it in schools, in the classroom, and so forth. Right, I have done my demo, and I would love you to scratch away, to just create your Scratch, to think innovatively, to think out of the box, and create whatever that's out there, and just play around. It's fun. Trust me, this is fun to play around. It's fun to see your creation come to life. It's fun to see students get excited to understand a concept because they are coding it. So they're making it come to life themselves. So is there any questions?
There's an interesting question or comment from Shakra Mia.
Okay.
She says, how would we incorporate coding in our classes? By looking at the reality of majority of schools, lack of internet, lack of devices, overcrowded classrooms,
Definitely.
and our learners who are not achieving literacy skills at the required level. What is the purpose of ensuring our learners achieve these skills of coding? What impact will this have in our current situation?
That is interesting. I'm gonna put it out there. So let's Kaya is ready to jump in, or maybe has an answer. So let me put it out there, and let's have a dialogue and answer Shakira Mia's comment or question, as well as Kaya's comment as well. So Kaya, you can unmute your mic.
Okay, thanks, Safana. No, it's true what is being said in the comment, especially as we are in the rural areas. But we must also consider the fact that the world is not waiting on us. We should at least try to influence our government or leaders to zoom in such programs like these that you guys are giving us. And if we can just reinforce the resources to such activities, and because even here at school, some of the educators, they are still behind in terms of accepting the 4IR, and it will cause a problem because the learners that they are teaching, they are preparing them to survive in the 4IR environment. So it's a very deep discussion. I think it will need just a day where we can just have a plain discussion and debate about it on how to resolve it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kaya. Is there anyone else who want to comment or answer with regards to that? But that's true, Kaya. The truth is, yes, we have a lot of shortage in terms of um, electricity problems, data problems. But like you said, we need to find ways to incorporate technology, even if it's the smallest things. Even if it's you as a teacher with your laptop or your tablet, are just showing the students the interest and putting them out there, that there is coding out there to just spark interest in coding, so that the learner is aware that there is such things out there. I see, let me quickly read Pariksha. Sorry if I said your name wrong. The Scratch platform can be accessed via a Telkom or Bilela SIM card at a cost of 40 Rand. The learner will have access to Scratch at any time without needing data. She just said something I did not know. And I'm glad she put it across there, that we have ways to access these platforms at a cheaper cost. Thank you for sharing that, and we will put it out there with our teachers. Ishmael, you can unmute your mic.
I'm sorry. I also got interested by what Parikshna has just said. So I was still asking her if the 40 Rand, is it the SIM card or they need to recharge every month or it's once off, but I believe she'll be able to type it back. So I just wanted to comment on the Scratch to say, on not actually Scratch, but rather technology itself in general to say, yes, many of our teachers in our respective schools, you find that they're still too much reluctant, and I don't blame them because most of them are BBTs. They were born before technology, so they've got the phobia of technology because they know very well that the learners that they are teaching are too much advanced than them when it comes to technology. But then what I can say, particularly to the teachers who are in this platform now, is that just make it a point that you take a step, regardless of whether you have resources at your school and whatnot. What I can say is that there is actually a love out there, more especially with technology. And the more you start initiating that, you will find your colleagues, you meet your colleagues who are in the very same platform, who are doing that, which you are aspiring to, and you'll be able to assist one another. Talking from experience, the school that I'm teaching at, when I arrived there, it was so dry. It was far from technology. It was a traditional school. But now, because I had a zeal and eager to can see it somewhere, today as I speak, I managed to introduce so many let me just call them projects, and then they are booming out. And then even to our learners, some of our learners at the current moment, they still don't have gadgets, they still don't have smartphones, but for the mere fact that you introduce them to that particular aspect, that particular content, that particular opportunity, trust me, they will make it a point that they go extra mile in making sure that they familiarize yourself with whatever that is. And to me, it's very much inspirational, and I get motivated when I meet people who are technologically literate, because it's a chance for me to can prove myself that yes, I can change their lives. So what I can say is that yes, people will still be reluctant, still people will be stationary until you push them to be where you want to go. Whether they are your colleagues at the school level, at the second level, at the provincial level, doesn't matter. But what matters is that let's keep on impacting them with whatever that we know. And surely we'll see South Africa getting somewhere. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Parishka, you can unmute your mic and let us know. Please do let me know how I pronounce your name. I do not like mispronouncing names.
Oh, good afternoon. My name is Pariksha.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Very close, yes. Yeah, thank you for the wonderful, presentation. What I want to add is regarding those SIM cards. I have been introduced to Belela technology at about, say, for the past year and a half. And we have been presented with these SIM cards, which you can purchase for approximately 40 rands. It's just under 40 rands. And a learner can use this SIM card like a usual, like your normal SIM card. You put into your phone. There is no expiry date to the SIM card. You do not need to add any data. You can have access to the Scratch platform. You have access to loads of and loads of other information that the learner can use from grade R right up until grade 12 and maybe beyond. Included in this package is something called FET simulations. I don't know if anyone heard of the FET simulation. It's dealing with the physics and science and maths, and this is really phenomenal. If our learners and educators can be exposed to this kind of platform, especially for our disadvantaged school. I come from a disadvantaged school called Redcliffe Primary, and I have already purchased 10 of these SIM cards, and my learners are really having fun working with these SIM cards. So that's what I wanted to add to this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for adding. Kaya just said that we need a group chat for information sharing because this should be a movement. So Kaya, we have a Facebook group for SchoolNet. We would like for that Facebook group to be information sharing platform where we discuss and share resources and discuss these topics that are out there, because it's quite a lot when it comes to South Africa's situation. So can we move the conversation to our SchoolNet teacher group? And let's continue the conversation. So if there's no other comments or questions. So I see Ishmael said, with the lack of technology resources, I managed to put everything together, and recently I just became National Teacher Awards Best Teacher at the whole district. Congratulations, Mr. Ishmael. And there are a number of teachers who have been using technology for a while at their respective schools. What I can say is that everything is possible, particularly if you know what you want. That is true. So what Ishmael is basically saying is all we need to do is to start incorporating it, even if it means incorporating it with one cell phone. At the end of the day, you'll be making a huge difference. So let's continue the conversation in our Facebook group. Zotumo has shared the link in the chat box, and let's take it from there. Thank you so much for sharing and for allowing me to show you the Scratch platform. Thank you so much for sharing your comments. Thank you for sharing the SIM card. I'm going to put it out there with my teachers because I believe that is a beautiful thing. It makes it easier for our students, and it should be out there that there is 40 Rand SIM card that can assist us with coding. So thank you so much. If there is no other question or comment, I'd like you to complete the register and we will call it a day. Thank you so much.